I'm gonna go out and prospect, like they were pushing like Thanksgiving week, I'll prospect because everyone's home, right? And I was like, I'm gonna do it, and then I didn't. And no one really prospects in my neighborhood ever since I've lived there. I mean, I get like the Better Homes and Garden Girl, like.
Oh, Jessica Small?
Yeah, she's the only one that.
She's gonna be,
Right?
I've been talking to her. So
Yeah.
weird.
But you left a postcard in my door because I'm over 10-year homeowner.
He left that?
He's
This guy
getting all the
right
over 10-year homeowners on Thanksgiving week, so I have to create a compliment.
Yeah.
here? So he visited you on Thanksgiving week, this man right here.
He left a postcard in my door and I was like, oh.
Did you hear that? Did you hear her
But
name
it
crack
motivated me because I was like, that's what I'm supposed to be doing.
Well, it's kind of like when I go to I don't get any
Come on in,
my
Dad,
house,
still in the room, we're
right?
gonna close the door.
Yeah.
But when I go to my
Wait, then
mom's
we're gonna shut
house,
the door.
and like she always sees me, and I'm like, my neighborhood.
Yeah.
And I'm like, well, I'm not doing anything anyway, so shame on me.
I know, that's what I felt.
Yeah.
I'm a door knocker.
Don't worry, everybody just like. We have a bunch of people trying to, because their kids are playing pickup from school, and they're asking.
It might take that
Last
adjustable
minute.
size this
I'm getting
week.
blown up. Like, they're like, where's it at? Oh, it's live now? You're live now? What the heck? You scared me.
Sneaking in last minute.
I know.
Yeah, I'm always everywhere.
You scared me. Alright. I'm gonna just. Hit him. I don't see the red light, so I'm waiting.
Oh, shit.
Why do you look? Do we look regular on camera now?
You look alright, I'm gonna flip it though.
Yeah, what's up, little people? I'm just saying, look at this little camera right there. Oh, sorry, I put triggered in the audience, my bad. Okay, well, hi guys, I'm Jessica, team leader here.
Oh, sorry.
We have the most, excuse the side talking. You know, that's Arlen in the corner that's talking right now. But I'm just kidding, guys. So I'm here to introduce Rudy. So Rudy was the #1 producer at Remax for many, many years. Now he's here with Kid Villa Lake. So we got this like what? Almost a year?
Going on a year, correct?
Yeah, almost a year now. But the best thing about him is that he really does maximize his opportunity with listings. He is a majority. When we looked at his business, the split is like 89% of his business has been nothing but listings, which is you guys know that's a really impressive number to have 89% be strictly listings, and that number changed recently because you took on buyers a lot more.
Right. I
Right,
have to
recently,
Kind
adjust
of
the
move
market.
with the market and so forth, but the
Yeah.
majority of my buyers do come from my own listings. Don't do open houses for buyers, don't prospect for buyers, but they come from my listings, either from a sign call, mostly from sign calls.
Well, there you go. So anyways, this man knows what he's talking about. I mean, would you listen to someone that had 22 listings in the last 12 months? Yes, I would. Okay. Take the floor. We have tons of people watching you on live.
All right, cool.
Take care.
Um,
Can I get a win?
So, just a quick intro, for those that don't know. I have a mortgage background, from 2004, after the mortgage meltdown, I had to do something with my license. I got into real estate. When I got into real estate, I didn't even know what a canceled and expired listing was. I didn't even know what a for sale by owner was. I just knew that from the mortgage background that I had, cold calling for refinances, I know that I could do it in real estate. So I had to just focus that energy somewhere else. But from day one, when I started doing real estate, and they said, look, Rudy, we're coming from another industry, we want to tell you that from the beginning right now, if you want to make it in this industry, you want to be a listing agent. Listing agents last. You have more control of your business if you're a listing agent. So, ask the next time question, well, how do I do that? Well, you got to call physicals expired and so forth, and it's just like, well, how do I, what's that? Well, it's when a listing goes into contract, whatever. You guys all know what that is. But ever since then, I've been intentional of my business being listings. What I mean by intentional is when I prospect for sellers 90% of the time. The other 10, 15% of the time, I follow up with buyers that I got from either an open house, sign calls, or referrals. But my primary focus on prospecting has always been strictly sellers, especially in a market like this where there's no inventory. I'm out there showing properties right now. I just came back from that's why I'm, came here last minute. I just came back from showing properties right now. And I'm following up on properties and so forth, and I mean, it's 8 offers, 6 offers. And I'm thinking to myself, why am I on this side of the fence? Why am I not creating inventory? Why am I not the one reviewing 6 to 8 offers, right? So with that, it's a market you can take advantage of, and there's business to be had, because right now I think it's easier to find a motivated seller that has equity. More than likely, the motivated one is going to be probably moving out of state. They say that 40% of baby boomers are considering moving out of state, and a good half of those will do it in the next, from now to the next 2 years. The other ones are still considering it. So that's the target audience that me, I would target, right? On comparison to working with buyers and finding a buyer that's happy of making a payment for $3,800 to $4,500 a month. I have a short little video.
Want me to
here.
post it now?
Yeah, and this is just basically to set the groundwork. I don't roll out of bed and make this up. I didn't roll out of bed and become great at what I do. I've been doing coaching off and on since 2013, and I don't follow the herd. I kind of go to be intentional and strictly focused on what I know works and where I'm not wasting too much time. So if you want to play that real quick.
Yep. I don't want to, I'm just kidding.
Shit out of me. That's here.
Hey, listen, by the way, all you Gen Xers, Gen Zers, and millennials out there, dust off your Hell Ready albums, brush up on your This Generation is Going to Hell talking points, and subscribe to the AARP newsletter, because boomers, yes, baby boomers are once again taking over the real estate and mortgage industries. Gotta tell you, it's not all good. It's not all that bad either. Let's explain.
According to the National Association of Realtors, baby boomers now make up 39% of home buyers, the most of any generation, and an increase from 29% last year. To put this in perspective, as is needed, Gen Z only makes up 4% of buyers, and that's with 30% of Gen Z moving directly from mom and dad's home into home ownership.
Gotta tell you, these numbers are crazy out of whack. Didn't see this one coming. It really tells us that we have an unhealthy housing market right now. Guys, 40%, almost half of home buyers right now, remember a world without computers, generally have disdain for social media, still watch shows at designated times with commercials in them, don't see what all the big fuss is with the Real Housewives, video games, Uber Eats, Amazon, and that Netflix thing. 40% of buyers are still walking flip phones. All the while, you as a realtor and a lender are spending your money, your resources, and your time trying to automate your marketing, figure out social media algorithms, and come up with a clever TikTok video that might play into your profession. That's all for 4% of buyers. They understand that. 40%, they have no freaking idea what you're trying to accomplish with your marketing and outreach. It's crazy, isn't it? But it kind of makes sense. Here's why.
Gen Z and other younger generations can't afford to buy a home at these prices and these rates unless they're sitting on a ton of equity in a home they previously owned.
And they're not. Remember this term, boomer equity. That's right. Boomer equity reigns king of the jungle in this market.
According to the NAR chief economist Larry, quote, baby boomers have the upper hand in the home buying market. The majority of them are repeat buyers who have housing equity to propel them into their dream home.
Aren't NAR economists just an understudy of the absolutely obvious? Oh my goodness, really? So anyways, when it comes to baby boomers, they're not dead yet. Boomers are still looking for their dream homes. Imagine that. Is this moving your marketing wheel right now? Because it is me, and it should you. Now, it gets even more interesting. Check this out.
Homes with mortgages account for roughly 63% of all U.S. properties.
Those 63% of houses with mortgages are your millennials, your Zers, and your Xers to a lesser extent. Those boomers, yeah, the ones we're talking about, are the ones with no or low mortgages. You know, the 40%, which is driving their real estate dominance right now. They can do it, and they're the only generation who can.
26% of all buyers were first-time buyers, the lowest since NAR began tracking the data, and a decrease increase from 34% last year.
Which makes sense. The more expensive houses get and the higher rates go, the fewer first-time homebuyers you're going to have. It's all because, my friends, price and rate. And finally,
Gen X made up 24% of total buyers. They have the highest median household income of any generation at $114,300, followed by older millennials at $102,900.
you know, with upwards of 90% of all loans being purchased by loans right now, loan officers, you have to understand where you need to spend your marketing dollars, your time, and your energy. So, okay, lenders, you might want to look into Gen Xers and millennials. Chances are, that's you, and familiarity is a sales persuader's best friend, so this will work well for you. Because under boomers, they are the next two most fruitful demographics because they make the most money of anybody, which more than ever is required for the suite of ability to repay loans that you've got to peddle right now. And as you can see from this Alto scrap of inventory, there ain't no relief in sight, my friends. So if you want to list homes and sell loans, look to the geriatric generation because they've got all that pent up equity. And believe it or not, they're looking for the house of their dreams, the one that they never needed, but always wanted, and of course, for the right price and mortgage. Hope this helps. Talk to you soon. Loan officers, everything's changing around your eyes. All we have to think about it.
So basically, it goes back to being intentional. Like, who's my target? Who's my target person that I'm going to target, right? I mean, the class is about getting listings. Obviously, you know, we want to get the now business. You know, the now business being the low-hanging fruit, which is for sale by owners. You know, they have their hand up in the air. They want to sell their house. A large percentage of them end up hiring a real estate agent. They end up giving up. Next would be expireds, cancels, and withdrawals. Those would be the ones that you can actually be able to list in the next week to 30 days. Okay. For prospecting purposes, you probably want to start calling your for sale by owners first thing in the morning before 8, before everybody else, to be one of the first ones to speak with them. Followed then by, you know, your expires and canceled. I know that you can't start calling before 8 o'clock, supposedly. So you want to follow those guidelines, but if somebody has an ad that they're looking to sell their house, they've requested for that phone call. So you're welcome to call the for sale by owners. Expires, cancels, as the market is getting tighter, competition, you have to do more. Phone is great, it's been working, but now it comes where it's going to separate who's willing to take the extra step to get out there and get more business. And realistically, the persons that from what I see is if you're able to get in front of them and actually, instead of making the phone call and say, "Hi, Mr. Seller, I saw your ad," whatever, you know, and approach them, I think you have a better chance of opening a line of communication, because they can see, because within the first 5 to 10 seconds, somebody knows that they want to work with you or not, right? And a lot of times you can see it by their composure at the door. If I open the door and I start doing this and start kind of closing the door, you kind of know where that's going. But if I put my hands down, kind of relax a little bit, then it's like, tell me more. So you have to be able to read your prospective client. Again, same thing with the expireds at the door. Nobody's doing it, especially here. Nobody's doing it. Orange County, you can go door knocking because I'm part of a mastermind group, and when I speak to them of what they're doing in Orange County, he says I can go door knock a property for an expired that just came on, and it's either me leaving and another agent coming, or or vice versa. But it's at a higher level. I mean, everything there is $1 million. So you're looking at a $20,000 to $30,000 paycheck. I think you have a lot more reasons why you should be more aggressive. Out here, nobody's really doing it. One of the other things too is with the whole spam and so forth, it's hard to get through now. Like now, to get somebody on the phone, it's hard. Everybody has it on their hand. You go everywhere, everybody has it in their hand. But they don't answer unless they know who it is, unless you get lucky, you know? I mean, that's been my personal experience. Getting out there, doing a face-to-face, I think, is gonna take you a lot further than just calling and getting hung up on. But also, be intentional, have something to drop off so they remember who you are, because you're trying to separate yourself from the crowd. And my stuff's always changing. I've only been here for a year. So, like, I have this, so just with different marketing material that I put together. So this is a little bit more complete. So this is when I was at Remax, but it's something that I can leave behind besides, it is just my resume and what I do to sell homes and my experience. But if I stop by and drop this off to you as a homeowner, or I give you my business card, and even when I say you have to be intentional and separate yourself from the crowd, like everybody gets business cards and their business cards are $1,000 for $25. So when I drop this off and I drop off my business card, that kind of sets a tone on the marketing and my professionalism that you have, because either you're looking for a good agent or you had an agent that couldn't sell your house, and now you're not going to make the same mistake because your other agent probably didn't show up with something as polished, and that's where they went wrong. So that's like my old one. This one I ran out of books, but I have this one in a book. This is my Keller Williams. So it has I had to revamp it, so you guys want to check that out.
Do you design and create this all yourself?
No,
Or you have a
I'm not that talented, so you just have to pay somebody. Yeah, so I don't, so now, again, when I show up to a listing appointment, I either have it, if I'm just dropping something off, I drop off a book, okay? If not, I have them printed where I can put them in my CMA and then drop it off, and then people ask me, wow, how long did it take for that to get done?
Yeah.
Because I talk to them, I already have it done, but I'm doing everything out of my office. So that's just stuff of being more intentional and separating yourself from the herd, because everybody wants it, but.
Rudy, what do you say when you're at the door? You knock on the door, it's expired, you knock on the door, you open the door, you have a packet in your hand. What's the first thing that's come out of your mouth?
Hey, Mr. Seller, I noticed that your house is on the market. I just wanted to see if you had any thoughts by any chance, is your house going to be coming back on the market anytime soon? Yes, we're going to go ahead and fix it. We're going to use the same agent and so forth, blah, 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 whatever the case may be. All I'm trying to do is basically, if I'm there more than likely, I can't get a hold of them, right? When they blow you off and say, no, the house not coming on the market, if we're taking it off, we changed our mind. Okay, great, just out of curiosity. Every day I make phone calls to find buyers and sellers. And sometimes I do have buyers that are looking in your neighborhood. By any chance, if I do have a buyer that's looking in your neighborhood, do you mind if I give you a call? Okay, well, I'm not looking to put my house on the market. I understand. But if the right buyer comes and likes your property, would you consider selling? Well, it depends what the price is. Okay, great, what's a good number that I can call you at? Right? They just don't want to go through it anymore. But everybody still wants the opportunity.
It gets you in the door.
It gets you in the door.
Yeah.
All you're trying to do is get your foot in the door, create rapport, so you can take it a little bit further and continue to, And then every once in a while you call them, hey, this came up, hey, this house sold, give them market updates. You're creating that report so you can position yourself. I mean, you can't convince somebody to sell, but if the timing is right and you're there, you're going to get the listing.
Yeah. I could vouch for the phones because we do a lot of dials and it's getting harder.
I'm telling you, I'm telling you, I was all
all
for
the
it.
time, spam, and we're trying to keep up with it, but it's just never ending.
It's,
You have to dial a lot more to get very little.
Yeah, when I used to dial, I can hit with, when I was dialing, in 3 hours, solid, I can hit my 30 contacts, no ifs, ands, or buts. Now you're doing 3 hours, you're getting 10 to 12 contacts.
Yeah.
And that was 30 contacts to try to get maybe one or two maybes. So if you're getting 12, how many days in a row do you go without even getting a maybe, like a lead? So you have to kind of like switch it and kind of be more intentional about it. It's more than ever you have to play to win. And in this market, there is an opportunity to create inventory. So we went on basically expireds. You know, we get the numbers. You can get a Mojo, you can get Red X, you can get Vulcan 7. You're able to get the numbers there. But also going back on the video on the baby boomers. So you can talk to your title rep. Talk to your title rep and look for empty nesters, people that own their house for more than 20 years, that are two-story homes. Those are people that are going to be looking to downsize, either move out of state and so forth. So that's another source that you can call. Obviously, it's not now business. It's not somebody that's going to list in the next 30 to 45 days. But again, you're building that rapport. You can door knock the empty nesters as well to get those leads and build a pipeline. But reaching out to your title rep and saying, hey, I want all the houses that people have owned the house for more than 20 years. Those are considered empty nesters. So now what you want to do is you want to be able to call more than one source. Okay, sticking to one source may not always be fruitful. But if you're calling your expired, your for sale by owners first thing in the morning, obviously the newest for sale by owners, the newest expireds, the newest cancels, and then switching over and doing your empty nesters. Obviously, that's more of a follow-up. It's a long ball. It's the follow-up. And then another source that you can call as well is the absentee owners. Especially with everything with renters and so forth, that maybe they want to capitalize because some people are fearful that the market's going to crash and they just want to liquidate. So that's another source. So having multiple sources to call from, you might get a listing from the low hanging fruit. You might get a listing then later from an empty nester, so forth. Again, I strictly call for sellers. That's 90% of my lead generation. Throughout the day, if I don't have nothing else to do, then we do the circle prospecting, neighborhood dining, and continue. Hi, name's Rudy with Keller Williams. Say any thoughts of selling your house, and then just keep going until you get that maybe. No, not really, not right now, but maybe in the future. Okay, great. Where are you thinking about moving to? So obviously, knowing what you have to say is important. But getting out there and actually, doing it as well. So let's see. Yeah.
Follow the MREA with the listings, because the listings that's how you get the leads, right, with buyers, what you said earlier.
Right. With listings, you'll get buyers. Especially if you're good at marketing. I'm not. So, but if you're able to, your big groups will get a listing and exploit the hell out of it to get buyers and so forth, and get in names and numbers and continue to follow up. If you want to look for buyers, can you get a seller from it? You can. One of my colleagues that I mastermind with, I love him. He's like, I've never done an open house for buyers. I've never done an open house for buyers. He says, I always do an open house with the intention of getting a seller in the neighborhood. He's like, because I do a mega open house. So I door knock when it's coming soon, 100, 200 homes around. I let them know what type that it's coming soon. I door knock when the open house is taking place. Let them know, and he says by that time around, I let him know that we're going to be barbecuing, we're going to have this, we're going to have drinks. Stop by. He's in Orange County. It's a little different animal. Yeah, but that's what he does. So he says, yeah, does it cost me like $300 to $500? He's what it does. But he says, but I do have sellers to say, wow, man, do you always go out of your way to sell your properties? I do. And when you're ready to sell, I'll be happy to do the same thing. See, so you gotta basically separate yourself.
Hot dogs aren't that expensive. Hot dogs only.
Yeah. So that's the thing. So a lot of people, and it's all about, a lot of people want to do open houses for buyers. But, you know, and he says, I will get a buyer from my open houses. I mean, a seller from my open houses, if not a lead that's saying, I've had one that was on the market, saying it was getting ready to expire, and it was gonna call him because his agent was late to the first open house. So, you know.
I have a quick question for you. Do you drop off these before your listing presentation appointments, or do you just bring it with you?
No, I actually always try, if I have them on the phone, I get an email address and I send it to them
Oh, electronically.
electronically and just say, hey, I want to give you something to review, gives you a little bit of information about myself, in case you have any questions about my marketing or my background or anything like that, I can address them when I get there.
Yeah.
So I try to email that. If I'm not able, if I go to a for sale by owner that I haven't been able to get a hold of, and I see he's kind of, I'm trying to make conversation, I'll let him know, here's a little information about myself, I know you're probably busy and weren't expecting me, but I did notice that, you know, the house is on the market, just wanted to see, you know, you're still entertaining offers or no, we haven't got any offers, we're doing an open house this weekend, and kind of open it up. But you can definitely, when I drop my stuff off, it's always been, oh wow, it's nice.
So then when you get to your appointment, it's only 20 minutes.
So, well, when you get to your appointment, basically what you just want to go over is basically the listing presentation to go over the comps and see where, you know,
See if you agree on the
to
price.
see if you agree on the price. But in this market, I mean, I hate to say it, but, you know, use the property for marketing. You know, I mean, because I lost out on houses that I thought 2 this year. That my ego was like, I'm not gonna list it at that. No, I'm not. Somebody else took the listing and it sold. You know, but, hey, fucking the expert. You know, but it's just like, no, because I don't wanna, you know, the day's on market and I want, and it's just like, damn, I should have.
Yeah.
You know?
Live and
but-
learn.
You live and learn, but, you know.
Do you get a lot of objections to like your commission fees? Like, would say,
It depends. If you work with for sale by owners, that's you're gonna get them.
Do you get a lot of pushback on that part of the presentation meeting?
Well, yeah, I have a listing that I can take right now for $895, and their thing is like, I'm gonna list my house, but I'm not paying 7%. I'm not paying 6%. I'm like, great, I can list your house for 5%. He's like, that's way too much. I'm like, you just said 76 is too much. You know,
Yeah.
but I can take it. But you know, it's the whole commission, so it has to make sense. But it's just, well, you want me to take an overpriced, you want me to take an overpriced listing that's about $75,000 above market. You don't want to pay anything, but the next house that you buy, you want it to be under 700,000, 3,000 square feet, 5 bedrooms minimum with a pool and solar panels.
Pretty much.
Am I wasting my time? I mean, I'm not that hungry. I mean, if I didn't have anything to work on, I'd be like, okay, good. But like realistically, what his replacement house is not going to be 700,000. If he's trying to sell his house, it's pretty much the same size, 2 stories, without a pool. You know. So yes, it does come up, but that's why you should be able to have your objection handlers, right?
It's always like, this is my fee, and then you can pick what you want to pay the buyer's agent.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly.
Because I'm always afraid I'm gonna get that pushback, like, compared to like an Open Door or some of the other companies that are doing it for so cheap.
Right.
What the client is telling you when you say, well, I charge 3%.
You're not KW, which is all.
Yeah.
That's how much people push back on that part of it, you know?
Yeah,
like,
it
they don't have
goes
any-
in, oh, sorry, I won't do it.
No, it's fine.
No.
He has a point too, like, that's why it's important to read your buyer, your seller.
To know
it's like
your
the
objections.
personality.
Yeah, to know your objection,
To know
but at
to
the
address
same, and at
Yeah.
the same time, you have to come in with value.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah, you have to come in with value. Since what's an expert like? Okay, so, you know, if he can't even protect his commission, what makes you think he's gonna fight for your equity?
Yeah.
Who's gonna be here when your house comes below market and the appraisal comes in low? Who's gonna be out there chasing comps to try to get you back your equity?
Right. Yeah.
You can take a discount,
Yeah.
but is it to your best interest?
Yeah.
You
Get
know?
what you pay for, right?
Right, but you have to, I mean, you have to be able to show value. You know?
Yeah.
Yeah, so there's
the house that I met you on,
Yeah.
it was, I took it from potentially them selling to Open Door.
Oh,
They
wow.
were already gonna do it,
Yeah.
yeah.
Nobody wants to pay.
So, I'm glad you brought up that point. So with open house, with the for sale by owners, you're gonna get that pushback because they're looking to save the commission, that's why they went ahead and listed low, you'll overcome that. Expireds, they tried the 2%, they tried getting the discount agent, it didn't sell. How'd that work for you the first time,
Yeah,
right? So you can try to earn your commission there, right? But it's a low hanging fruit, so.
that's what
It is what it is.
Like, you show what you do.
Exactly. But now, when you find a lead that's organic, something that you cold called, that you door knocked, that they already have that rapport with you, it's a lot easier to get the commission that you're looking for because that trust is already there. So a lot of the times, you can get your full commission the whole time.
Yeah.
And if you're a listing agent, you always want to make sure you take the lion's share. The lion's share is always the bigger
Oh, yeah.
side of the commission, right? Because in this market, I don't need a buyer. It'll sell itself.
Right,
So if I take 4% on a 6% listing, I know it's going to sell for 2.
right.
5%, 5%, I'm going to take that 3. I don't need the buyer. You want to raise your commission? That's great. Go find the other property. It'll sell.
Yeah,
We already have offers,
Yeah.
So, in this market, you can take advantage of that.
yeah.
And the seller will ask you, hey, well, why do you get paid more? Oh, because I do a lot more marketing. I have more money invested in getting your home sold than somebody that's walking around with a buyer just, handing out waters.
Yeah. It's true. Spending money on photography and video.
Preach.
All that.
Yeah. So they're like, oh, that makes sense.
Yeah,
Oh, that makes sense. Okay, sign here, press on.
yeah.
So that's why
That's true.
and water.
Yeah. So yeah.
That's a really good nugget. I
See you more.
Yeah.
Thank you
What
for
are
the
you
effort.
doing to make your database for listings? I know that
See,
was a struggle for you, but like.
I kind of know my database, and I know that the people that I've sold to between, I know the people that I've sold between 2009 to, say 2010, they couldn't afford to buy a new house. They couldn't afford the payment. I just sold a house, by, the new condos there by Lakeside. House sold for $545. They have about $240,000 in equity that they net. And he's like, well, if I buy this house, I want this one. And so I'm looking for a 1-story, 3-car garage, minimum 2,000 square feet. I said, I know the area, I know where I can get it. And probably it's going to be about 600 to 650. He's like, damn, 600 to 650. Okay, what's my payment at 600? Okay, your payment at 600 with 240,000. He's like, no, I'm not putting that much right now. He's like, I'll only put 20. Okay, cool. 20. Okay, so you're looking at a payment of $3,500. He's like, really, I can rent the house on the street for $3,000. He's like, it just doesn't make sense for me right now to, continue paying more and more. So that's kind of and that's somebody that had $240,000 in equity. And it's just like, well, what's your payment now? Well, my payment was $2,100. Well, what's my payment gonna be? Well, it's actually, it's great. It's only gonna be $3,500. Oh shit, it went up to $1,500. So basically, I want to say I know my database, right? But at the same time, my database knows that my expertise is selling. So right now, I am getting referrals, and I'm getting more of return business now, and I don't have to go out and look for it. So it's kind of working out, but what my primary focus is going to be right now is definitely going to be empty nesters, for sure, end of story. The only thing bad about those, and it's the same thing that's bad about the expires and cancels, is that there's no really rapport there, so you don't get to keep them as clients. When you have a good organic lead that you've been following up for the last 3 months, 6 months, you show up, there's kind of no resistance. It's easier to continue to follow up with it even after you close. But on the expired, it's just all right, thanks, man. Bye. It's a little different, I would say. But with your empty nesters, you don't have that move up that I've seen. Hey, we're selling, we're moving to North Carolina and so forth, so you get that referral. But it's nice when you're able to keep them in the area. But another thing not to forget about your empty nesters that are 55 plus and have that objection. They say, well, I don't want to sell because my property taxes are going to go up. Well, hey, did you know that you can take your property taxes with you with Proposition 19? Well, how does that work? Well, as long as you buy a house that's within lower than yours, you get to keep your tax rate dollar for dollar. If you buy a house, it's a little bit more expensive than yours. Say you sold your house for $550 and you buy it for $600,000. The only difference is that you're going to be paying taxes on the difference, which is the $50,000. So what would my payment be? Well, your payment's not actually the $3,500 because you're saving on the taxes. Your payment would actually be this. Oh, I didn't know that. Now you can keep them in the area with the grandkids and so forth. So, knowing your tools and having the tools that you need, so that way you can better overcome objections. Trust me, I forget about that too. It happens, but yeah. Any questions? Everybody have a shitload of listeners.
What's your dagger? Which do you use that?
Mojo. Yeah, that's what's worked for me. The Mojo. Yeah. You can subscribe to get the for sale by owners. You can subscribe for that. Their data's not as good as Vulcan. Vulcan's gonna have better data for your expires and so
It's a
forth.
lot more too.
But it's also 300. What is 330 right now?
270 if you have it for a while.
If you've had it for a while, it's 270 and your grandfathered in. But if not, you're paying at 330, 350 a month. So.
230.
Rudy, what are you doing to stay on top of your game? We talk a lot about, this market's crazy, you gotta know like different things, like what are you doing to stay on top of your game for listings, the rebuttals, just overall, like what are you doing?
Well, I mean, it's just like anything. Sales is kind of like playing sports. You know what I mean? It's survival of the fittest. If you're not polishing up your beak, as a track runner, it's not running. You got to be able to. I mean, that's one thing I say. I always, I'm going back into coaching. I took a break from coaching, but I always go back into coaching. Every time I go into coaching, it always works. It always works, right?
Preach.
So, but yeah, knowing your scripts and just having your why, what your motivation is. My motivation's easy. I'm I'm the primary breadwinner. You know what I mean? So it's easy to. Oh shit! I forgot to make this phone call at 7:30 at night at 7:45 and say, hey, real quick, just want to give you a quick update, so forth. Hey, I want you to think I forgot about you. So to me, it's that makes it. That's the motivation there. So I can't take the foot off the gas pedal. Yeah.
You don't have a lot.
I do when I do, but when I do, I don't have a problem hitting 200 doors.
Yeah. We hit the pavement off though, right?
Yeah.
How many doors minimum are you doing?
Yeah.
200?
200, just to make it worth my while. I'm already out there. I'm already sweating.
Rudy, there's a lot of newer agents in the class right now, and like, I feel like listings are just like scarier, at first, they're harder to get, there's more skill involved, so like, what would you suggest that they do now? Because it sounds like, well, from everything we've always learned, right, listings are less work, right, you get more, listings will have babies, right, you bring in more, so like, we should all have the mindset that you have of like, I prospect for listings.
It's very simple. If you fish for minnows, you'll catch minnows. If you fish for whales, you're going to catch whales. It's what you put your intentions to. It's just that simple. You just have to be intentional with your work. Because I guarantee you, if you focus your primary focus is on having that conversation. Are you thinking have you had any thoughts of selling your house? And you do that repetitively, your lead generation is going to be, your organic leads that you're originating are going to be for sellers, because that's what you're searching for. So it's being about more intentional. But to answer your question, for someone that's new and they want to get a listing, is go to your database, go to somebody that already knows and trusts you, and say, Mr. Family Member, hey Tia, I got my license. Have you ever thought about selling, selling your house? I mean, you're going to have to start with people that already know and trust you. That's going to be easier, right? I mean, you have great coaching here to take you through the process, so you don't make any mistakes. But that would be easier than trying to show up to a for sale by owner. You know what I mean? So, but yeah, I mean, you would start with your database, call your database, make a list of 100, preferably 200 people that you already know that know you, and then you can call and ask if they know anybody or if they thought about selling their house.
Do you have your listing presentation memorized, or is it kind of like different every time?
It's kind of like my scripts. I don't go verbatim. A lot of people say go verbatim and always try to, but I'm very free spirit, so
No way!
so I kind of go as I see.
I don't believe you.
You know, as I see it. Yeah. But yes, I do. Ultimately, it's a script, but it might go like this. You know, but ultimately, it is funneling down.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, read the room, you gotta read the room.
Exactly. Yeah.
I feel that, you know, after COVID hit, everybody has gone to like this different mindset and schedule where like, I'll go to work today, I'll show up today, I'll do this and I'll do that, right? Are you, are you more successful years, or even if you're not successful year now, are you like on a schedule? Or are you more like every day you get up and let's see what happens today?
I've been on a schedule, say, for the last 10 years. But when I mean that is like intentionally making my phone calls.
Exactly.
But I've gotten to a point now that like I have a predictable business. Like I have to, I'm embarrassed to say this, but I haven't really been doing much, but I have 2 listings coming up. I have a nice one that's gonna be coming up here at 675, half an acre with a nice pool, 1,200 square foot garage on a half acre. You know, I have another one that's gonna be a nice listing here in Paris, 475. That one's gonna be a first time home buyer, you know, so, but I basically have, down the groundwork intentionally for the last 8 to 9 years where I can be a little bit more lax because I have that rapport and I know kind of by looking at my database, I can call them, you know, and kind of, you know, but at the same time, I know if it push came to shove and it says like, hey, we need to get a listing in the next, you know, like, I'm in, let's do it.
Yeah, and I'm glad you touched on that subject because I think that's a lot of, you know, for the newbies.
Right.
They see that the veterans age is kind of like they back a little bit and they feel like, oh, this is what the business is like. No, it's not. This is the business like once you've been in it for 10, 15 years.
Exactly.
And you get referrals, your phone rings and someone say, hey, you sold me the home, I want to sell it now.
Right, and that's why the statistics are that, you know, real estate agents will quit in the first, in the first 2 years. And I think the breaking point is if you can make it past, if you can make it past the 5-year mark, you'll be able to breathe and be, you know, but at the same time, how long does anybody take to go to college? 4 years. Before you used to be able to, before if you wanted to be a plumber, you had to be an apprentice. And you had to work with a master plumber for 5 years before yourself became a master. So it's no different. You have to still put the time in. And if you don't have the transactions to work on, every transaction makes it a little bit stronger. So you want to be able to put transactions under you so that way you have the experience. And when you show up and somebody says, like if I show up to a listing appointment, I'm going to show up, I'm going to print my production. And I'm not going to print my production on 2 pages. I make sure that it's single pages so it looks more. And I staple them and say, these are the listings that are listed in the last 24 months. Like these are the buyers that I represent. I don't turn buyers away, but this is what I focus on. Right?
Good.
So I'm talking about right there.
Rudy, when you started the business, I know you've been in it for a while. Did you shadow an agent? Where did you learn the business?
No, so I started in the mortgage industry, right? I started in the mortgage industry, and then once I got into real estate, basically my buddy that was a broker for Reliance Lending, we just joined the board and became Reliance Real Estate, right? So he was branching off. I was getting tired of doing my own E&O, doing everything because he was in Montana. He's just like, here's a license, you do whatever you want, boom. And I just got tired of learning everything on my own. So when I went to interview offices, it's just, it was like the whole, well, we got the training, we have this, but this is what you're going to get. And I'm like, oh no, not going to happen. So what I did is I remained with my broker, but I went ahead and just started paying for coaching
Yeah.
to make myself more valuable. And then, once I knew the business good enough, then, you know, I went ahead and went to a big box, company and so forth.
Who are you currently getting coached, with right
Right now, I'm gonna be joining Matt's coaching.
now?
Just because they have the, they have
That's where you are.
platform that I'm
Join the
gonna be
club.
working under. I mean, I'm paying for it, so might as well be able to use it.
Yes.
In the past, I've done the Mike Ferry, I've done the Tom Ferry, I did, Burrino, so, Bill Crespo, he's good, a little different, you know? So, yeah, and you gotta take, everybody has something nice to offer. You just gotta pick and choose what works better for you and how you can implement it.
Correct.
So,
Congrats, team.
That's awesome, thank you.
That's okay.
Any other questions, guys? All right, final word, because people are gonna watch this back, and there's a lot of people watching it on live. Kids are back to school, understandable, right?
Right.
Final words of motivation for people that don't realize. By the way, KW, we are a listings focused company, you guys know, right? Leads, listings, leverage. There's no B in the 3 L's, right? MREA, Millionaire Real Estate Book. So he's like a perfect example of following that model with listings wise. Any words of advice or any final words about the market that we're already in and heading into?
Yeah, but I mean, we all know there's a lack of inventory, so basically our job is to create the inventory to make your job easier. You'll be happier. That's that simple.
That's it.
They have like 3 quotes from me today, that's good. Look at you,
We're gonna
really.
have on the walls a little like
Yeah.
black pretty.
Coach. Wait, I seen that in the movie.
Really, I really appreciate it. I know teaching can be uncomfortable, but I know you have valuable things to add.
See, I don't consider myself, but like at the end of the day, I don't consider myself an expert, by no means whatsoever. But if anything, I can improve in a lot of ways. So therefore, I just happen to show up 70% of the time, 65% of the time, when the majority of the people don't show up 20% of the time, and they want results.
See?
It's just that simple. Can I do more? Yeah. Is my life different right now because we're by the age of my kids and I'm choosing to spend more time with them, and because I know they're only going to be in my 4 walls for so many more years.
God found
You
you
know?
guys.
So, but at the same time, when I want to turn it on, I can turn it on,
I like what you said, cause like,
Yeah.
for you guys who are new, who are like freaking out or whatever, like he's done 22 listings in 12 months and he still feels like he's not an expert, like he still feels
Oh,
like
no,
he has
by
so
no
much.
means.
And so like sometimes when you're new, you feel like, oh, you did one deal, all of a sudden now you know everything, like you don't, like you'll probably never get there because every deal is so different. But as long as you keep that mindset of like, no, I still have more to learn, that's when you're really gonna like
Right.
break through the ceilings
Yeah.
and all that stuff. And then you can choose to be with your kids when you want to be with your
Right.
kids,
Right.
you know, but you already did the time, so that's awesome.
I had a question for you. So the last week and a half, I've just been getting like this thought, okay, to just focus on expires. Like that thought has been in my head for a while. And here thinking, okay, if I was to pay for a dialer, which one would it be? And then you also said something about door knocking. I'm like, hey, door knocking seems it's better.
Here's the thing. It's basically you either have check equity or sweat equity. Check equity could be you're getting a dialer, you're going to pay the premium of $350 to get Vulcan 7 because they have the better numbers. But then you're limited because do they have a multi-line dialer? Because I know forever they just have one line dialer. It's a single. And they say because whatever, they have a single. So then you want to get that one and you want to hook it up to Mojo, so you have a 3-line dialer. So now you're spending $375 plus another $150. So now you're looking at $500, right? A month. I mean, that'll motivate you because you got to make it pay for itself. But at the same time, there's no reason why you can't print out the expireds for the last 180 days that are in your neighborhood and take 10 to 15 of them on your way home and door knock.
Boom.
and be intentional.
That's what
I've done it on the
some.
Saturday when
Yeah.
I end up showing the open house, I'm like, you know what, let me see the
Yeah,
latest
same
standards
thing.
with the.
Do you want, see, in this market, do you want to hold an open house to get a buyer? Or do you want to spend those 4 hours actually looking for a listing? And be more intentional and actually saying, you know what, in these 4 hours, I'm gonna hit up these 20 properties and door knock them, right? But it's basically what you're fishing for, it's what you're intentional about, you know? So you can start with a dialer, obviously you wanna be more productive, so instead of the 1-line dialer, you're gonna hit more contacts with a 3-line dialer, but you're looking at $500 a month. Or you can print out houses in your area that are closest to you that are gonna be on your way home. You know, and then just make sure if it's 180 days, make sure that they haven't sold or been relisted since then. So it's just like, oh, we just bought this house, you know, because it's happened to me, you know. So just make sure, but there's no reason why on your way home you can't be intentional about that and print them out and go door knock them and introduce yourself. So.
Thank you, Britta. Thank you for letting me beg you to teach a class.
Thank you for sharing your wisdom.
Thank you so much. A lot of good nuggets here, so I appreciate that so much.
Yeah, no
For
problem.
sure.
You guys, he did good. He didn't want to really teach, but he wanted to share his information.
Yeah.
It's not that he didn't want to get back to you guys, because he's super, don't get me wrong, everyone here, we have a culture of collaborating.
Yeah, I don't have a problem answering questions, so,
Yeah.
I'm always,
Is it the
I'm
cameras?
always here, you know, to give advice and help somebody
Is
else.
it the cameras?